Hey ladies, welcome back to the Women Experience, where we evolve, we elevate, and we experience, baby. This channel is about womanhood and the experiences that, are part of our lives, things we go through, things we experience. So let me know anything that you would like me to tackle. But today's topic is one that is very, very close to my heart. It is one that I have felt in my life a number of times. It is one that probably a lot of women have gone through, and this is being invisible. Being invisible is something that has happened to all of us at one point in our lives. I have felt it where I'm in spaces where I feel like I'm not being seen. My opinions doesn't feel like it really matters. It feels like other people take me for granted. And I know you have probably experienced it. And one of the things that I want to really, really stress about, even as we go through today's episode, it's a feeling. Sometimes you could be feeling invincible, yet other people see you. So it's a feeling, it's a mindset that sometimes as a woman, you feel like other people do not know your worth, or really do not really see who you are. But it could also be the reverse, which is people actually don't see you. People don't see that you matter. So this is going to be a 3-part series, and this is the first series of this video. We are going to talk about signs that you could be feeling invisible. In the second video next week, we are going to tackle actions that you can take to stop feeling invisible. And then on the third video, we're going to talk about how do you stay on the path long term so that you constantly feel like you're seen and you matter. So let's get into it. And not saying that there are times in your life where that you should always be visible. It's just that there are times in your life where it's a constant nagging feeling that you don't matter, because life happens and sometimes you're not seen, and that's okay. But if you're constantly experiencing these signs that I'm about to share, they could be signs that you're invisible. Number 1, your inner critic in your head is too loud. I think we've all been there. I won't even bother saying it. Why does it even matter if I speak up at a meeting? You could be in a meeting at the workplace. You're like, they don't even listen. So I'm not even going to contribute to anything. That's your inner head, your inner voice, always telling you that really your opinions don't matter. And it's because you are at a place where you're feeling in your life, people don't value you. So watch out for that inner voice. If you're constantly having negative self-talk to yourself and telling yourself that you don't matter, then signs are that you're starting to feel invisible. Or it could be in the family setting, with your children, with your spouse, with people around you, friends. You know what? I'm gonna keep quiet, because even if I talk, no one listens. That constant inner critic is really not good for you, and it's a sign that you could be feeling invisible. So that's number 1. Sign number 2, your efforts are being taken for granted. Oh my, this is a really, really huge one for us women. You are the mother, you're the caregiver, you're the sister, you're the wife, you are the sterling workmate, you are doing so much, and yet it feels like people do not appreciate you. I don't know about you, but I know a little bit about this, where we are juggling too much at the workplace, in our businesses, at home. We are taking care of a million things. Sometimes even the extended family, by the way, heavily relies on women to be sort of the glue that holds everything together. And so because this is the way you've been socialized, this is the way you know how to do life, people are just constantly, they just feel like you'll always be there, and they're constantly making requests and asks of you. And because this is how you know how to live your life, you're constantly saying yes. And so your efforts are taken for granted. And a bit of story time. I am a mom of 3. And so one day I was going somewhere. I was going out for a coffee with a friend, and my daughter was asking me like, how come you're leaving us today? How come you're going? And because I told them I'll be like 3-4 hours out. And I told her, Nia, you do know I have a life. And my daughter was just like, but sometimes you're always here. And so it's this thing that women are just socialized and are known to always be there for people. And sometimes when you're taken for granted, when it feels that people don't acknowledge you and appreciate you, and you're helpless about it, and you don't know how to tackle it, it's a sign that you could be feeling invincible, that you don't really matter. And you know for a fact that if you were to drop the ball on any of these responsibilities, things would collapse. If you were to stop making meal plans and organizing the nanny, and at work, if you were to stop being the person that's always sending out notes before, that if any of these responsibilities, you were to put a hold on them, things would simply collapse. So you're valuable, but people just take for granted the things that you do, and you don't know what to do about it. This is another sign that you could be feeling invincible. Number 3 of a sign that I think you might be feeling invisible, which is close to the number 2, is that your opinions are always overlooked. This is a big one, especially in the workplace, at the family level, where you play such a huge role, like I said, and your contribution is so vital, but it just feels like even when you give solutions, your opinions, you're often overlooked, and it doesn't really matter. And we've seen this at the workplace. I've had a lot of the women I've worked with tell me that, you are in a meeting, you're leading a project or you're part of a project, you give out your ideas. It's like, oh yeah, that's nice. Thank you for your contribution. But when someone else says it, it is taken up and implemented. So something that was your original idea, something that you worked really hard for to ideate and create, all that effort is taken away from you because someone else is is shining. Someone else seems to be always being taken seriously. So this is a huge one for women in the workplace. But also at the family level, this is something that I think we've grappled with, where it feels like you're not being heard. You're trying to give solutions, you're trying to give an opinion. No one really seems to listen. It's like, oh yeah, and things just go wrong sometimes, and you're like, I said this. I said that this was going to happen, but no one seems to listen. So you're sort of like that girl in the corner that is a nice to have, but is not really taken seriously. And I think that's a huge, huge, huge sign that you could be invincible. Sign number 4, you are always the peacekeeper. Oh my. And that's that's for us women. You're the nice girl. The one that doesn't want to rattle feathers. The one that doesn't want to be seen to be too loud, because nice girls listen. Nice women don't talk too much. There's something that's called the likability factor, and hopefully one day in this channel I'm going to talk about it, because we've been socialized as women to be likable, to be seen to be liked, because assertiveness is for the men, it's for the people, it's a male dominated trait. But girl, if you're always trying to be the peacekeeper, the one that's always trying not to be too loud, or you don't want to make people angry, it could be a sign that you're invincible. And I have seen this very often, especially with women leaders or women who are leading in certain spaces. They have so much contributions to make, but they are always seen, you want to be the peacekeeper, you don't want to rattle feathers. It could be another sign that you're invincible. Even at the family level, you don't want to be the one that's always calling out people, or the one that's saying, as a family, this is going wrong. But because you've been taught that nice girls just listen, they don't talk a lot, it's another sign that you could be feeling invisible. Number 4 is comparing yourself to others. When they say comparison is the thief of joy, they're actually right. Because when you are a woman, the idea that other women you're seeing out there could be more successful than you. You look at her and you're like, oh my God, she's so accomplished. She looks like she has it all together. And social media is a huge one for this one, where you see other women look like they're leading just amazing lives, and you're in your little corner of the world and nothing much seems to be happening to you. So this constant comparison of, oh, she's so lucky. Oh, she seems to have it all together. And remember, by the way, the social media is just a highlight reel. People are just sharing what's the good part of their lives. I could be seated behind this camera and my life is in turmoil. But there's something happens that when you start to feel invisible, other people seem to be having a much better life. Other people seem to be more confident. Other people seem to have it all. And you're constantly telling yourself that they have it better and I don't. So this is a huge one to look out for. Once in a while, it's okay to feel like that if you see someone, really taking off. But if you're constantly taking a backseat because you're comparing yourself to others, it could be a sign that you're invincible. Now, I saved the last one for last, which is something that I have experienced myself. You're losing your spark. That joy, that being you, being a woman, enjoying life. When most of these things are happening, the ones I've mentioned, your inner critic is too loud, you're taken for granted, you're always the peacekeeper, you're comparing yourself to others, you just lose your spark. Life just loses flavor. The things that used to give you joy no longer give you joy. That work that you worked, that job that you worked so hard for to achieve, that position, you're now a manager, you just don't feel like going to work anymore. That, maybe meeting your family members or being in your house, it just doesn't feel the same anymore. The things that really light you up, being a mom, being a wife, being a sister, being a friend to other women or other people, it just doesn't feel the same, because you're wondering, like, what's the point of it all? Like, do people even notice? Do they even care? So when you start losing your spark and it feels like that for a very, very long time, it could be a sign that you're starting to feel invisible and you're starting to feel like you're just not you anymore. And so this is a huge one, because there are often times in my life that I felt that it didn't really matter. And this is a huge one. And I hope in the next episode, we'll talk about a little bit more about how you can start beating all of this. But there you go. 5 top signs that you could be feeling invisible, that you could be feeling you don't really matter in this world. And we'll talk about in our next episode how you can pivot back better and stronger. In fact, when I was looking at the meaning of it, invisible, it just, you are unseen, you are unnoticed. So we'll talk about how do you get noticed? How do you get background and become that person who has something to say, who has something to contribute? We'll talk about that next time. So until then, do like, do share, do subscribe. I cannot wait to meet you next week. And yeah, share this with a woman or a friend who you think could benefit from this series. Until then, see you on The Woman Experience. Bye-bye.